The hallmark of Adventist education is the integration of faith and learning. It is true that when we are dealing with IFL in face-to-face classes, I think we know what to do because we have read so many articles and books written on that. But when it comes to online, everyone asks the question, how do we do that? So in this short video clip, we're going to talk about a few points, specific points, how to integrate faith and learning online. We're going to first talk about philosophy of Adventist education, and then talk about integration of faith and learning in the design, in the delivery, and also in the assessment. So those are the four areas we're going to look at. So let's start with the philosophy of Adventist education, because that is the point of departure. What do we know as far as the philosophy of Adventist education? I think the best statement that we know of as far as philosophy of Adventist education is concerned is the statement from Dr. Knight in 2010 on page 28. On one of his articles, he said, the purpose and goal of Adventist education is, number one, the restoration of the image of God in each student. And number two, the reconciliation of the students with God, with their fellow students, with their own selves, and the natural world around us. Of course, as you can see, this is directly linked to the spirit of prophecy. When you look at the book of education, this is the basis of what Adventist education is about. So how do we integrate faith in the design? It has to start with how we are actually designing our classes. So it has to be intentional when we're designing online courses. When we have the course description, for example, we should feel right there that this indeed is a course that's going to be taught from a Christian or Adventist education perspective. We should integrate IFL in the learning goals, in the instructional materials. We should make sure the instructional materials and the learning activities are presented from the Christian perspective. In fact, it is true that many of the textbooks that we use in journal articles may not have been written from a Christian perspective, or even sometimes materials were not written by Christians. But we need to present them through the integration of faith and learning, so that even if the materials were not written from Christian perspective by Christians, we can make a direct connection to biblical principles. We need to integrate faith and learning in the discussion questions. We can do this also in the devotionals, holding devotionals at the end, at the beginning of every module, just like what we do in face-to-face classes. But when it comes to the delivery or the teaching, we need to also integrate faith and learning. We need to demonstrate the Christian character in the way we communicate to our students, in the way we grade, in the way we make our postings. We should demonstrate the Christian character. We should demonstrate the fruit of the Spirit. It is not only in face-to-face classes, but also in online classes. We should be professional. We should demonstrate professionalism. We should pray with and for our students online. We need to be regularly involved in the devotionals that are online through the postings and reacting to the students' postings in the devotionals. We need to share biblical principles. Sometimes it may even be a very nice verse that fits for the occasion of some message we want to communicate with the student. That will be some of the ways that we can use in integrating faith and learning in the delivery or in our course teaching. How do we do it in assessment? That is the last point. We need to have clear assessment guidelines. Students should know exactly what to expect from the very first day. They need to see the instructions clearly written. We need to have clear grading instructions. If we have alternative assessments, we need to have grading rubrics that will help us to grade our students, to assess them and evaluate them fairly, because fairness is definitely a biblical principle. We need to support all the learners, not just a few. Any learner who needs support, we need to encourage them. We need fairness in grading. We should not be biased or play favoritism, as the Bible says. God does not like favoritism. We need to give constructive feedback, because we want, as part of the philosophy of Adventist education, we need to provide feedback that will help our students to continually grow. And this will be only possible with constructive feedback. Then we go to the timely feedback. It is useless when we give feedback after the course is already over, or students have submitted 3-4 assignments and they have never received any feedback. That does not help them in their learning. That actually prevents them from deeper learning, because if they receive feedback on time, they will use that as they continue preparing for subsequent assessment. And the last one here is what I refer to as sandwich feedback, or sandwich method of grading. What does it mean? Before we give students areas where they need to improve, we need to find something that is positive about what they did. And then put it, right after that, we put what needs to be fixed. And then at the end, we need to put again something that is positive, so that the areas that need improvement are sandwiched in something that is positive. This helps students to approach feedback in a very positive way. It is true what Ellen White says in the book Education on page 12. She says, in the highest sense, the work of education and the work of redemption are one. So that is the purpose of integration of faith and learning. In conclusion, let's talk about 3 points. Number 1, IFL must be in all aspects of online classes. We should not have it only as a devotional. It should permeate all the aspects of our online classes. Number 2, the course facilitator's connection to Jesus is very important, because if we don't have that strong connection, it will not flow naturally to us to move, to integrate faith and learning. And last point, online Christian education must be truly Christian. There is no point of calling our education Christian institution, Christian programs, Christian classes, when we don't see Christianity in the courses and the way they are being offered to our students. So God bless you as you integrate faith and learning in your online courses. Yes, it is possible.